I think that we are an industry built on deadlines.
Mm-hmm.
It's always about the next thing. And every time we hit that next thing, we discuss how that thing could have been better and that the next thing is going to be better again. There's no end goal. There's no... the job satisfaction is tumultuous. You can have an absolutely brilliant presentation at 10 o'clock and then 1 o'clock feedback comes in and you just like, phew.
Yeah.
It's this carrot on a stick. And I think that that's why creatives are so prone to burnout, because we are always chasing the next thing. And that constant striving to be better is good. And it's also unsustainable.
All right. So this is a Never Not Creative podcast. And for a change, we decided we would interview someone else who does a podcast. So welcome, Katie Cadwell.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And we are huge fans. I am huge fans of the NDA podcast.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that.
So you also run a studio.
Yes,
which is very relevant.
Yes.
Lucky dip.
The smaller part of my to-do list.
The smaller part of, yes, these things do tend to overlap quite a bit.
Yeah.
But business is good, and you've just had 800 applications for a job.
Yeah, we're hiring for the first time, and the people turned out. So there's some really, really talented juniors in the industry. So yeah, we're growing, which is really exciting.
That's excellent. And I guess for me, like the whole thing of being able to get Never Not Creative and NDA together, because there's so many overlaps.
Yeah.
And obviously, NDA is quite a specific name. At what point did you go, we've got to start talking about stuff that's a little bit more taboo?
Yeah.
I think, there's lots of podcasts out there, which is profiling great people in the industry. But I love that you've gone, let's just pull the curtains back.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit.
Under the rug.
Yes.
All the dirty secrets out. I think probably kind of selfishly, I'm like a chronic oversharer. And I've always been very candid, sometimes to my detriment, I think. Just very open. If someone asks me how much money I earn, I've always told them. Those kind of barriers just didn't really exist for me. But then as a junior, I realized that you have to be careful. You can't talk about bad things that have happened in another studio. You can't talk about so-and-so had a really horrible time as a freelancer in that place, or that you can't talk about work that you've poured your heart and soul into and you can't tell anyone. Yeah. So I think maybe it was a combination of myself being quite an honest person and being a little frustrated at this kind of like underbelly of the creative industry, and learning that everyone's having very similar shared experiences, but we're not allowed to talk about it. And then I have to kind of acknowledge that I reached a position of privilege whereby I could start being vocal with no fear of repercussion. Because I was freelancing, so I didn't necessarily have a boss or a studio. I had enough work in, I was more senior, more confident. So it felt like I could get away with it. So I suppose it was a bit of a risk in that sense.
And so it grew pretty quickly, which kind of suggests, right, that like, oh, finally someone's talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
And I love you get lots of voice notes sent through, right? And does that feel like, is it kind of perhaps a little bit cathartic for the industry? Are you like the Dear Deirdre, was it? Used to be in
I'm like an agony aunt.
Yeah. Are you an agony aunt now?
It's I would say it's not dissimilar, except I don't really give advice, I guess. I give voice instead to those stories, and I make other people give advice. It's almost like I'm, kind of skirting, having to do the hard bit. But yeah, no, definitely. It feels like when I first kind of broached the idea of the podcast, I launched with just a title of the name and the idea, and I hadn't recorded a single episode. And it was like, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to publicly commit to it. And then the support with no real content or plan was amazing. And I was like, shit, can I swear?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Everyone always asks me that when they're on the pod.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I actually got to do this thing now. So it was like kind of weird. I suppose I just threw it out, test the waters, and people were so keen. Yeah.
That's a little bit like when I started Never Not Creative, the first thing we did was the mentally healthy research.
Yes.
And when we got 2,000 people suddenly go, yes, we're taking part, and we got that many responses, and just go, oh shit, like people did want to talk about this.
I think that's not a bad way of doing it. It's like making sure that there's the appetite before you just create something and put it into the void for no one to engage with or care about. It was at a time where there were a lot of design podcasts, but they were all interview format and not really like you kind of talk about topics, right? But back then it was more, tell me about your childhood.
Yeah.
Tell me about where you went to school. How did you become a designer? So I think some people really resonated with the idea of like lifting the lid, and other people resonated with the idea of discussion rather than, and there's no shade to those other podcasts. I mean, they're amazing, but they're great. It's been done though, and they're doing it really well. So there wasn't need for me to do something similar, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. It's called the NDA Podcast.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever got in touch and gone, excuse me, have you had any moments?
We haven't been sued. We've had some pushbacks from a few studios, a few people who've said they want to be guests and then have mentioned it to their studio, and the agency has said, no, you can't. I don't know that the actual episodes and the content is as provocative, perhaps, as the name sounds. And that's marketing, that's how we get people in the door. And maybe season 1 was a little more provocative than it has actually gone on to be. And I always think if you just listen to an episode, you would know that there's going to be no bad energy that comes back onto you as an agency. And actually it looks really bad that you're censoring your staff. And what are you ashamed of?
Yeah.
Whenever we want to talk about things like maternity or paternity policy or stuff that's really linked to the studio that person is working in, we get a little pushback. But I don't think we've really had any, like the episode's gone out and we've had any issues from anyone. Like I said, because it's not actually...
No, it's not. And it actually just is much more personal experiences, and no one really names and shames and that kind of stuff.
No, which is such a shame.
It is.
Some people...
Sometimes you just love... I bet you've got actually cutting room floor. No, we better not put that in, actually.
As soon as we stop recording, all the real goss comes out. And I'm always like, but I get it. Like, I do get it. You have to protect your reputation and the people that, and we're not about a pylon.
And you can't burn bridges as well, especially for people working in the industry. So I've just stopped recording. So one of the, obviously Never Not Creative's mission is all about mental well-being in the industry, and we tackle it from a number of areas. So it's not just wellness, but it's also a lot of the things that you talk about, like the systemic issues that can exist. One of my favorite episodes recently was the Burnout episode. I actually listened again yesterday. Unsurprisingly, perhaps, probably just by the nature of who we draw in, by what we talk about, pretty much all of your listener base had experienced burnout.
It was something insane, right? Like 97% or something.
Yeah. And in our research, we've seen 70% of people experience burnout in the last 12 months. Because it's good with your like 2 hats on of running the business and the podcast.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like when I do this, it's like, it's also therapy. What did you take away from the chat with Bex Price and James Porwitz?
I thought that they were incredibly honest, and their burnout crosses that path of professional life, right? So having a conversation about being burnt out is very different to having a conversation about how you work with freelancers.
Yeah.
So it was inherently more personal topic to them, and they didn't shy away from that at all. They were so authentic. I just felt in awe of them, actually. And it was one of those episodes where I don't know we necessarily came up with an answer of how not to get there. I think it's inbuilt into the kind of creative psyche to keep going.
Yeah, because I think you called it, is burnout inevitable?
Yeah. And I think, hand on heart, I think it is. For people who really care and really love what they do, I think you will experience burnout at some point. But I think when we finished, I just felt very grateful actually to them for being so honest. And I just, it's quite a dark topic, and their experience of burnout, which was quite severe burnout for both of them. And you just you wrap up and you stop recording and you think, oh, I hope someone listens to that and they're getting to that place and they go, hey,
maybe I need to.
Maybe. And if just one person does that, job done.
Yeah. I did like the way that, like James talked about, almost losing the inability to communicate. And it's hard. I think one of the biggest things for burnout is if you try and take it on your own.
Yeah.
Because you do find those like debilitating times of, like, I know once I'm in it.
Yeah.
And it's because I've snapped at someone, or I look at everything in front of me and I just don't know where to start.
Yeah.
But the other thing I did think in that episode was, we don't talk enough about the effects that these things have on other people.
Yeah.
And James kind of touched on it, but I think agency leaders especially don't think that it's good that more and more of us are talking about it.
Yeah.
But then actually at the same time, by not getting help or not sharing it with others, you bottle it up and you don't necessarily see your effect on other people.
Yeah.
Some of the voice notes that you got, did that kind of get explored in anything that you'd seen through? Have you experienced it yourself?
I think that burnout can be quite an isolating experience. And so inherently you're kind of selfish.
Yeah.
I think Bex put it really nicely when she said she felt the whole agency would collapse if she didn't work.
Yes.
So it's not dissimilar to a symptom of when people are in a depression, actually, is that you feel very insular and you're quite self-involved almost. Yeah. So I think that you have your blinkers on as to the impact that you're having. But we know that the culture of an agency can be changed like that. One hire is all it takes to change the culture of an agency. And if someone is feeling to that level of burnout, they are, of course, going to have a negative impact on the culture, either because they're demonstrating working practices that are not healthy, right? If we're saying that this is before someone reaches burnout and they're working themselves into the ground, what are the juniors thinking when they look at that? Oh, should I be staying till 8 o'clock?
Yeah.
But also they're just not a particularly positive person to be around, and you can't bounce ideas off someone who is full. They have no capacity for your ideas, or they have no capacity to see things another way. So it's really not beneficial to anybody to have empty people like that in your studio.
So then I feel like if you chatted to anyone about this, they go, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
So why do we keep doing it?
It's honestly, it's ridiculous. I think that we are an industry built on deadlines.
Mm-hmm.
It's always about the next thing. And every time we hit that next thing, we discuss how that thing could have been better and that the next thing is going to be better again. There's no end goal. There's no... The job satisfaction is tumultuous. You can have an absolutely brilliant presentation at 10 o'clock and then at 1 o'clock feedback comes in and you just like, phew.
Yeah.
It's this carrot on a stick. And I think that that's why creatives are so prone to burnout, because we are always chasing the next thing. And that constant striving to be better is good. And it's also unsustainable.
And do you think so I was just looking at data earlier around, we've just done an AI and mental health study, and it was still up there as number one on the stressors list, which is the expectations that I put on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's still part of kind of what you're talking about, right? Like we just push that. So because you kind of touched on this, I think, in the episode around who's responsible.
Mm.
And so I I remember talking to someone, a guy called Mitch Wallace, who started this movement called Heart on My Sleeve. And it was all about improving conversations around mental health. And I remember him giving an answer around whose responsibility is it? Like, where do workplaces come in? In Australia, we've got laws now against this, psychosocial safety, risk identification and management. But he always said that the role of the business was not to make anyone worse, which I think is a good baseline.
Yeah.
But then I also think if you ask most business owners, they don't really get into business to make people worse.
Yeah.
And in fact, they'll often try and help people be better. But then it still manifests itself in the drive to do amazing work.
Yeah.
And so many leaders, and I'm sure I'm probably maybe one of them, but like we'll do that. Turn off, don't work on the weekend, go home, but then exhibit the exact opposite.
100%. I loved that question when I asked it to them. Whose responsibility is it? Is it your responsibility or your employer's? And of course, the answer is both. But that's idealistic of us. Running a business in this climate, looking after enormous teams, it's a lot to also suggest that business leaders are going to monitor the individual mental health of every one of their employees. So the cynic in me says it's our responsibility to stop ourselves from reaching burnout. Nobody, this is so savage of me, nobody gives a shit about you in the way that you care about yourself. Nobody. You have to be out for number one in this world, let alone in this industry. I don't know if that will change as I employ people and if my view on that will change. But as I got kind of into the later years in my career, I was like, my God, these people don't care about me. Not really. So I have to start caring about myself. And that's when I started taking sick days. But before that, I never did.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm going above and beyond. And I'm the one that's kind of feeling the real repercussions of that. So when I speak to young juniors or young people who are really struggling, I literally always say, they don't care about you in the way that you think they do. You have to look after yourself first. Maybe we'll see a shift whereby employers take more responsibility, but I don't think it's there.
Yeah. And also only you know you, right? Like if you have a problem, we get this question on Asking for a Friend all the time around how do I talk about my mental health at work? And usually the advice from whoever is on that episode is around, you know yourself, and if you can't just, it's like anything with a manager, you can't just give a problem to your manager.
Yeah.
You need to come with a solution. And in this case, the solution is something you know more about than anybody else because it's you.
Yeah.
And so I do find that as being like, that's a way of managing that kind of, you've got to look after yourself.
Yeah.
But I also like this concept of, I remember someone telling me that we put a lot of emphasis on resilience when it comes to mental health and burnout.
Yeah.
But then resilience is sort of pitched as very individual. And actually, I remember sitting on a panel with someone and they talked about resilience as a system. It's like you will have a community, or you should build a community of people around you, which is your resilience system.
Yeah.
People that you know you can go to when things aren't going great.
Yeah.
Or, that you can get support from, or that kind of just get you and know you so that it doesn't all get internalized.
Yeah.
And the more you can talk about it, the better. And I kind of really liked
I love that.
idea.
And studios should be about resilience too, that we're the sum of the parts. Nobody should feel as though they can't have a day off without everything falling to shit.
Yes. And the reality is, it won't fall to shit.
No,
right?
and we're not saving lives, and not to diminish what we do because we love it and we care about it. But my God, if the PDFs go over a day later, everything will be okay.
Yeah.
So it's important that your team makes you feel like you can take the time that you need and you're important, but the future of the world doesn't rest on your shoulders right now if you need to stay in bed for a day.
Yeah. And your business and the people around you will not collapse.
Exactly.
And you will not have a job the next day.
Yeah.
It's, I think And it's kind of nice. Like, it's great that people care that much. Like, it's great to have people that work for you that care that much. But at the same time, we do need perspective. So let's move along from burnout.
Yeah.
And you did a great episode around like cultural identity
I love that
fitting in or not. And how is our industry in a good place? It's not like this is a new topic.
Yeah, no, it's not in a good place, is it?
It's not really, is it?
No, it's not. And the statistics or no statistics, you can just walk into a studio and see that that's the case. Are we seeing better representation in our junior talent? Yes. The diversity, and I'm not just talking about gender and race, I'm talking about age, I'm talking about background of the portfolios that I've been receiving over the last few weeks is amazing. And that's so exciting. And that is good. I'm not diminishing that it's good to hire, great diverse junior talent. But when are we going to see those people in positions of leadership? And are they going to make it there if our studio environments are not created to help them succeed?
Yeah, I think there's a huge lag, right? Like
Massive.
There's some good intentions. I do think intentions have improved hugely, but you can't say you want a more. I had a conversation with someone the other day. I won't name. I was like, God, it's really hard to hire women. This was just women, right? And I went, well, I mean,
in what way?
you've got to change where you look.
Yeah.
You've got to think about how you write your job ads. You've got to think about how you look as a company as to whether you're even appealing. You can't just go, it's a bit hard.
Yeah. It's lazy.
And it is lazy. And I think also we can't then, the challenge, which is why perhaps we don't see people move up through the ranks, is then you actually have to understand that the environment that you've got, your culture, needs to be very inclusive.
Yeah, 100%.
And that doesn't seem to be as present. Like you said, I can see Never Not Finishing School that we run incredibly diverse, like way over indexed.
Yeah.
But then do you see that reflected in the employees in the industry?
It's the same in unis. My degree was majority women, and then the people that got jobs were not majority women. And you have to be careful what I say here. I was offered a job at a studio, and I loved the studio and loved their work. And they acknowledged that they had a problem of that it being very, very male dominated at the top. And they were looking for a woman who could kind of be part of the boys club and part of the rest of the studio and start to break down some of that energy. And they were honest with me about that, that they wanted to hire me because they thought I was brilliant. And they also wanted to hire me because I was a woman and they thought I would help dismantle some of that energy. And I just thought, God, I just don't want to.
Yeah.
Like I really couldn't care less. That's not my problem to solve. And I don't need that additional workload. And you should be having that conversation with the men in that leadership team. So I turned it down. But I actually was kind of chuffed that they were so upfront with me, and they acknowledged that they had an issue, which is half the problem, to be honest.
I think, was it Priya in that episode talked about like the idea of self-censoring or kind of having to hide a bit of your self as a result. But whose responsibility is it?
Oh, on that one, I think it's much clearer that it's the employer's responsibility, not the employees.
And how do they, I mean, I think between us, we probably have a fairly good idea, but how do they do it for other people that are listening in terms of, do quotas work? Is it okay to do a quota? I know over here wasn't there like a court case or something a couple of years ago about 2 male creatives that got looked over for a promotion or even lost their jobs?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, you're right. What's it called? It's not bias. It's like when you over-index, when you go the other way. Someone once told me that, I think it was off the back of I'd been offered a speaking gig or something, and they told me it was because I was a woman. And I was sort of whinging about it and saying, I just want to go because I think I'm good at speaking. And they were like, the thing is that the pendulum has swung so far right for so long. It can't just come and settle back down in the middle. It's got to swing really far the other way, and then it will settle back down in the middle.
I 100% agree with that.
So I am in favour of proactively including diversity in your teams, in your lineups, in your podcast guests. That is something that I do. I'm not going to lie about it. Like, that is something that I do. And if that's right or wrong, cool, let's have a conversation about it in 20 years' time. And we'll see if the face of the industry has changed. I can't speak to it in a way that a person of colour speaks to it. And it's all well and good me saying I'm going to hire a really diverse team. I also then need to put everything in place for them to feel like they can be their authentic selves, that they don't have to mask, or if they do want to hide parts of themselves that they feel free to. So it's complicated, but I am pro, I don't know, quota feels like the wrong word.
It does.
You know what
but it is it's because it's become a dirty word. That's why, right? Because people fight against it. Probably people that look like me, right? Like, but at the same time, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And if you proactively make an effort to do it, then I don't see what the problem is either, right? Like, because either way, you're going to bias against something else, right? Like the reason why most, or maybe it's better now, but why a lot of agencies in the last 10, 15 years looked white and male is because people who founded them were white and male,
and they hired their
mates.
Image. Yeah.
So that's
you're right. It's bias. It's sort of bias in a different form, essentially. And I think, like, I can use the podcast as quite a kind of contained example. We use something called the DICE Charter to help shape our guests and our lineup, and it's meant for events, but we think it's brilliant. And it tells you need 50% male, female, or I think actually it's like 40%, and then non-binary. What age diversity you need, what race diversity you need, what kind of additional needs or ADHD or autistic guests you need. And it's very clear. And I quite like that. And I'm like, okay, cool. And
this is a blueprint to work to.
Exactly. Yes. And hopefully we overshoot and hopefully we do better, than if they're asking for, I can't remember off the top of my head what it is, but say they're asking for 20% people of colour. I'm like, cool, we can do better than that though, can't we? So I suppose that's a quota.
I mean, it is, right?
Yeah. But you're right. It's like
it feels like a dirty word. And it feels like I think it feels like a dirty word because it's, in a weird way, it's exclusionary, right? Like you're favouring one over the other. But I think people who argue against it don't realise is that the world has been favouring one over another for a very, very, very long time.
But that message needs to come from the people it's been favouring. That's what I think is more powerful. My husband was actually asked to speak at an event. He's a boat builder. And he turned it down because he said, no, you can find someone. I don't think I should be up there. And he sent some suggestions of some other people. So simple, so much more powerful coming from him than from me messaging them and saying, hey, do you think you should be looking for more diversity in your lineup? So maybe that's what makes you feel it almost needs to come from the people that are potentially going to be biased against to say, I kind of condone it for the greater good.
Yeah. And if not, use it as a platform to make a point.
Yeah.
I think, like, I remember being in a meeting last year and the room was embarrassingly full of men. And I think I got told 5 minutes to talk about anything. And I talked about the fact that the room was embarrassingly full of men.
Yeah, good for you.
And I don't know whether it really got through because it was so male. But I think we can take those opportunities as well. And I mean, you said it, like I've done a lot of work with Jazz Badir, who does Fuck the Cupcakes. And, the reason that exists, the reason we launched Never Not International Women's Day is because it's not, why is it a woman's challenge to fix that
Absolutely.
problem?
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. I did. You got lots of feedback on parenting and dads.
Yes, I did.
How was, because now we're in the other part of this. It's like, wait a minute, what about us? It's very finely balanced.
Yeah.
With this sort of, well, look, we probably need to sort out, yes, whether it's quotas, whether it's something, a framework to help us improve diversity. Then on the other side, there's this, well, we should recognize dads as well as mums.
Yeah.
Did that cause any conflict?
Bit of beef. We had a bit of beef. The thing is we did an episode on mums, and a huge part of mums having better experiences is to do with dads. Like, colloquially, my girlfriends that have had kids, the ones that have really supportive partners who take on more share of the parenting, went back to work earlier, went back to work happier, so it made sense, I think, to talk about both sides. We did have some pushback that, why are we talking about dads? Like, it's a non-issue. And I think, we know that mental health of young men is an epidemic, and becoming parents is very difficult. I just think the language of always talking about motherhood and not talking about fatherhood enough is one of the things that tips the scales. Yeah. So I just thought it was a really important conversation, to be honest. And then I had like a veteran dad and a new dad.
Yeah.
And that was really fun as well, to see like how things have changed. And I think Jamie had his kids quite a long time ago, but he kind of did it right anyway, because he's like a bit like that, Jay. He's like a bit old school, but he's like old school, new school, he really
just the right thing to do.
Exactly. Like his. So yeah, but we definitely got a bit of pushback. But when the people that actually listen to the episode, we get a lot of pushback from people who just very clear they haven't listened. Yeah. And it's like, my clips are meant to be provocative, so if you are going to rant at me based on the clips alone, then that's on you. It's the majority of people really enjoyed it, and it's not women become mothers and men become dads. It's people become parents.
Yes, that was the quote, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. What about this idea, though, still, that I think there was a quote, I thought I was hiring a career woman.
Oh, yeah.
Because someone, and wait a minute, you've chosen to go and have a baby, and therefore you're not committed to our business. That's a real shame. Not knowingly have I ever done this, but if someone just comes out and says, I'm going to have a baby, I go, awesome.
Yeah.
How good's that?
Yeah.
But I think sometimes I think the biggest thing is people just forget that people are a bit more important than work.
I
their business.
I do think that that's what happens, is we're so like obsessed. Yeah. And that's kind of cool in one way, because we obviously like love it so much, and it's quite a big part of our identity. But I think actually other women are quite bad at that. And I'm sure she won't mind me talking about this. My business partner, Hattie, just had a baby. He's like 7 months old.
Yeah.
And when she told me she was pregnant, the studio had only been up and running for maybe like 9-10 months. And I was a bit like...
Were you doing the maths?
And I was like, there was a split second there where I was like, but she's my best friend, and I was like so happy for her. But there was a moment where I thought, oh, the business. And then you go, the businesses will be absolutely fine, like big picture, Katie. But I think it is because we pour so much of ourselves into it. But no, it's only a good thing. And, she took 6 months off, which arguably is not as long as she could have, but longer than a lot of people who found studios do. So this idea that you are not invested in your career because you choose to have a child is utter rubbish.
Yeah. And I'll never forget this. It was at an old agency, and we had a very big client, and they were always like literally screwing us. And then there was this one situation where they wanted to change a meeting. It was nothing. Like, they just wanted to change a meeting because they needed to go and pick up their kids. And we had this account manager on our team, and I remember her saying just, "Oh, God, I don't give a shit if she has to pick up her kids." And I'm like, whoa, just hold on there.
Just so bizarre.
And it was like, and I'm sure some of it was a reaction to like how we were treated as an agency, because it was very master-slave, as some agency-client relationships are. But then I still think, well, like, what happened? Why did you lose that bit of your humanity that didn't realize that other people were more important than this? I don't know. Well, we're working on a catalog.
I think it might actually come back to what we were talking about with burnout, which is if you're a person that has given absolutely everything and you've missed parties and dinners and you cancel doctor's appointments, if you have been that type of employee, which a lot of us are, because we're told, God, you're so lucky to have a job, so you're terrified of doing anything to jeopardize that. When you see other people exercising their freedom, it pisses you off.
Yes, that's a really good
point. I think that maybe that's where it came from.
Yeah.
And I definitely think I had a little bit of that when I was younger, because I was a slave to the studios. And I used to be annoyed at other people who didn't feel they had to be. And now I'm like, you know, like my dog's really poorly at the moment. Not a big issue to some people, but to me, a huge issue. And so I've been back and forth to the vets, and I want that freedom for me. So I want that freedom for everyone I work with, that if they've got something that's going on in their life, whether that's kids, whether that's house stuff, car stuff, hospital
and I think
stuff.
that's the bit which I think, and it's actually linked to the parenting discussion as well, which is the feeling that if I don't have kids, I don't have anything else going on that's as important in my life as someone who does have kids.
I so disagree with that.
I know. Yes,
as well.
I agree. But I think that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Like, so there was that movement, wasn't there, about leaders leaving loudly at 5 o'clock or whatever. And usually it was because they had to go pick up their kids. But all that meant was that more junior people in the studio who maybe didn't have partners, hadn't had kids yet, just went, oh, well, one day I'll be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because I'll have something as important as they do. But going out for dinner, going to yoga, just going for a walk might be as important to them for their mental well-being as getting home to kids. It's probably even better for you, to be honest.
Honestly, like, say there's a spin class at 6 and there's a spin class at 7. Leave at 5:30 so you can hit your 6 o'clock spin class, so you can be having dinner by 7:30, watching Traitors at 8. Your whole evening is impacted if I'm so strict about what time you need to leave. Then you're not well rested, you're not ready for the day after. So I just think it's so bizarre to be so strict and so kind of, we need to give everyone as much grace as we want to receive ourselves, essentially.
Yeah, very true.
I'm really ranting.
I think I'm doing really well. That's good. You get a chance to rant for a change.
Yeah, it's nice to have an opinion.
The point?
Yeah, it is.
But also, I mean, you've heard everybody else's opinions
that's
as
true,
well.
that's
so
true.
I feel like they're very well formed. Unsung heroes.
Oh, yeah.
I like this one because in our by now, a few episodes ago when I chatted with Kat Howe.
Yeah.
And she did go on like this whole kind of monologue about how important account service were, how important, like if the agency didn't have some sort of structure and process and understanding of what was happening, you know, the creative wouldn't even happen.
Yeah.
And the work probably wouldn't even get to the place that it needed to be. But there's nothing for those people.
It's so bizarre.
Isn't it?
When I realised there's actually not even any clear statistics on what the divide is between, we started calling them front of house and back of house roles, which is not necessarily right, but front of house, I guess, is anyone who's in creative ops, and back of house are the creatives who are doing the work. Or maybe other people would see it the other way around, but that's the way I see it.
That's interesting.
Because they're like front facing.
That's funny because I saw that as like, I think I would see front of house as like the creatives, because they're the ones that are like getting all the limelight, and people are, we want them because of that work. But no, I think it works both.
It does work both ways. So those like creative ops teams and the creatives, it's literally 50-50. That's the best guess that we have. And I just like, the creative industry is absolutely enormous. we've all worked with those people. They're so talented, so articulate, so in tune and empathetic to everybody in the room, so have like such a good eye for detail. They're just brilliant people to work with. I've always found it so bizarre that people don't appreciate them. I did my growing up in a studio where there were only designers. So we did all those things ourselves. So then when I first went to a studio where that team existed, I was like, this is sick. Yeah. And they're so much better at it than I am.
I had an ideal around that when we first started For the People. I think it was a mistake in the end, which was I didn't think we needed client service. I thought we'd be much better off if the creatives could work with the client direct. And I do still believe it a little bit because I think you get a much better understanding. You don't get things watered down. You get all the information from the source, but at the same time, it's headspace, right? Yeah. Like it compromises what you can think about. And also there's probably a whole bunch of stuff by being exposed to that inhibits the size of ideas you can have because you know what's not possible, right?
Yes.
Or know what's not kind of in scope. Otherwise, if you when you don't know that, you can just run free. And that's really what you want for creativity.
I just think that, and maybe I'm just speaking for myself, I'm a bit too sensitive to consistently be in those situations, to be hearing lots and lots and lots of feedback. But I am in those calls on the whole, and helping figure out how to relay that to the people that are working on the project. And being there enables me to be able to push back on the things I think is worthwhile pushing back on. But I don't have the big picture. I don't have the ability to be big picture about the project because I've been in it. Yeah. Whereas if you're with a project manager or someone from client services, they can be big picture about it. And also they can be the bad guy. No, you can't have that. And I'm like,
true. Oh. Yeah.
And I stay like the
creative. Hate saying no. But then, so no matter who does it, I think I think this actually comes back to how well our kind of mental well-being is in the industry, is whoever does it actually gets very little support on how to do it.
Yes.
How to take feedback, how to pass on the feedback. I remember in some research from a couple of years ago we did, and we kind of identified that managers just get no support. So they're stuck in the middle. Training, they're stuck in the middle. So we've agreed that intentions are probably better, but leadership are going, right, well, mental well-being of our team is really important. Diversity inclusion is really important.
Yeah.
But by the way, we're not going to change any systems around that. And then, so you've taken that on, and then you've got a client that says, well, I need this by tomorrow. And then you've got people that you're passing that work to that you're literally dumping on and don't want to, but you've got no other out. And I feel like that's where one of the biggest challenges is in the industry, which is standing up to a lot of the just say yes.
Yeah.
And I think it's very easy to go, well, just say no. And you do, but it's got some nuance to it, right? You can't just say no.
No, you can't. No. You can't. I think that a client service, let's use client service as an example, right? If they say you have to do this by tonight, I don't think they're doing their job very well. And if they say no outright to the client, I don't think they're doing their job very well. All it takes is quite a quick conversation with a creative, sometimes carefully, because if we're tired, it makes us sound like princesses, but if you're tired or you've had full-on week, and sometimes, like Bex mentioned in the episode, there could just be something really small that kind of breaks the camel's back. But just how much could you do by this point? Or if you need, if this is the task, you tell me when you would be finished. And then they attempt to problem solve with a client. That's a good creative services person who's not just a yes man or the no man to the client. They're in conversation with the creative all the time.
And I think that's what sometimes, for the ones that don't do it as well, sometimes gets forgotten because they think they work for the client.
Yes.
Versus working for the agency and their team.
Yeah.
Which is tough. Like it's a tough
gig. It's not for me.
Yeah.
I'm way too sensitive.
Yeah. And also, like, you've got to have the confidence. Like, I got to, probably at least 10, maybe 10 years ago, but I got to the point where it's like, no, we're not doing that. Like, but you've got to, it takes years to get that confidence up and know how to say it. Yeah, it's, that is a tough one. And I think, but the sort of takeout is that they're undervalued.
Yeah.
We need to value more and give them the support that we probably, are over-indexing on into perhaps other people in the business.
Yeah.
You had Morella on, who we've had Morella on in the past. She's over in our neck of the woods. She's amazing. And very clear in her values.
So articulate as well.
Yes, and belief. You brought up, I think it was in your season review, that you ended up with like a BP ad on.
Oh.
When I listened yesterday to an episode, I got an Ampol.
Oh, did
ad,
you?
Which is like, over here, Chevron.
Yeah. It's killing me.
Isn't it hard?
It's killing me. And I'm in a constant battle with, this is so boring, but it's the logistics of running a podcast of, do I just turn all the ads off? And then we really, because the podcast costs us. We don't make any money on the podcast. We could monetize it more, but we haven't. So the ads just help us not to be really in the red. But you have so little control over them. So every time Hattie's not looking, I just turn them off. And there's no surely there must be. Yeah, you can set
gambling,
preferences.
Adult, but
they
not
don't.
oil.
They don't
obviously.
seem to listen to them. All mine are in Welsh. I haven't spoken Welsh for about 15 years, and all my adverts, whenever I listen to our podcast, are in Welsh. Make it make sense. It makes no sense, and we probably make 0.005 pence or something.
Yeah,
per
from the
listen
ad.
Anyway,
yes.
it's not even worth it. Yeah.
So what about, I actually love, Kat talked about moral compass. Tom Tapper, Nice and Serious, they've got a moral compass.
Yeah.
Is that, why isn't there more of that happening, do you think? And how do you find, in terms of people that have come on the show, in terms of how they reconcile with that?
Tricky.
Because it's a huge load, right? To have something that you believe in so much and then have it compromised as I've got to put this work out into the world and I don't even believe in it.
It's really, I find this subject so interesting because to be principled with the type of work that you take on, you have to also be privileged. Not everyone is in a position to turn down projects. However, I do believe everybody has a line. Even people who are scraping the barrel of the last pennies in their bank account has a line.
Yeah.
We've turned down, since we opened the studio, probably only 5 jobs. And I haven't worked on anything that I felt uncomfortable about, but I have in my career.
Yeah.
Because
did you feel uncomfortable about it then in your career?
Can I say who I worked for? The NDA will have expired, right? Surely.
Yeah.
I did a freelance booking and I signed an NDA and signed the contract, and then I turned up and it was for Meta. Internal stuff, thank God. But I just felt so icky about it, and I had no choice. So that's how I understand how people end up working on these projects. Right now I get to choose, but that was not always the case. So I actually don't think it's as easy as saying you should have a moral compass. Morella is so incredibly passionate about the causes, and the whole studio is built on that foundation. Yeah. So her line is a lot further along than other people's lines. I do still believe everybody has a line.
Yeah.
There aren't many people that would work on a gambling app or gambling brand, but someone does.
Yeah, it's funny. In my career, I have worked for an oil company.
Have you?
And I have worked for a gambling company.
Yeah. Most people have at some point.
And but I wouldn't even contemplate it now.
Yeah.
If one of them came and said they wanted to use our software, I'd probably actually think, well, I'm going to find a very good way to talk them out of it because I don't want them. But back then, I guess because I was still sort of coming up in my career, and it was, geez, I mean, it was almost 20 years ago.
No, it can't
so
be
it's
that long.
it was a little bit different. But yeah, it's funny. Like I'll never forget the pitch. We pitched a gambling company on a race course, and I sent the CEO to sleep.
Wow.
And we still won the pitch. But yeah, back then, and then I convinced our finance director to give us, this is terrible. I should be under NDA right now. Convinced our finance director to give everyone who was working on the project a little gambling pot of money so we could test the competition. Oh man, I was betting on dog racing in Sweden at midnight.
Oh God.
But yeah, I mean, I think it shows you, obviously the world has changed.
Yes, and it has, and our awareness.
We're so much more aware.
We are. We didn't, there's a little bit of ignorance, I think, when you're younger and you just think, cool, big brand.
That's true. Yeah. But I don't think though, younger people coming in now,
they're so
don't
much
think
more
cool big
principled.
brand.
They're
No
so much
way.
more principled than us. We use quite a few different case studies when we're talking to clients about building brand loyalty and building a customer base. The trigger word of Gen Z, and Gen Z customers. Gen Z customers will spend extra to buy vegan Doc Martens over normal Doc Martens, even if they're not vegan, because they like the image that it gives them to their friends. So they are willing to be principled with their money. And that makes them just like a bloody brilliant group of people to be coming through our studios, because what that means is they will turn down projects and they don't care about the money. So power to them.
And it's good. Like, I mean, well, it has to, right?
Yeah.
Because it affects them more than it affects us.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
So I think that makes perfect sense. So coming towards the end, you've been doing this for 3
3
seasons,
seasons.
Which is cool. I love it. I really do love it. I think it's so good. And I love hearing like friends suddenly pop up on it as well, which is good. Are things getting better or worse?
Oh, new problems. Same problem in different clothes.
Yeah.
Are things getting better? In a way, the podcast makes me feel like they are, because we're having these conversations that we wouldn't have had 5-10 years ago, right? Okay, here's I'm percolating on your question. They're not getting better. They're not getting worse. Things are staying the same. But that actually means that things are getting worse, right? Mm-hmm. Because we're not progressing.
And also overall things are kind of getting worse.
Yeah.
Right?
We're not progressing, I think, at the rate that we should be.
Yeah.
For one of the most progressive industries.
Oh, it's the age old. If anyone can fix this, the creative industry can, but it can't fix itself.
I know. And every year we have new problems, right? The economy has been incredibly unstable for the last, but particularly like last year was hard for a lot of people. The year before was really hard for a lot of people. So our issues go on the back burner. And the more we try to kind of sweep them under the rug to bring us full circle, the worse things are going to be. Yeah. So I think that things are not improving as quickly as they need to be.
I think you make a good point about the economy piece, because that ultimately ends up getting held up as like the yardstick of success.
Yeah.
And I never forget this. I worked on a project where we created a union for hairstylists.
Oh yeah.
It was amazing. I actually think it was one of my most famous project we've ever worked on. Because you got to see everything. And I think a lot of Never Not Creative was probably born out of workers' rights and all this kind of stuff. And I'm going to forget her name, but I'll put it in the notes. But there's this lady in Canada who works with left-leaning political organizations. And she said one of the things that is not helping is not speaking the language of the right. And she said something like, the way the right talks about the economy is that we have to make sweet love to the economy. And we use that as like the bit of like, well, you know, the economy's down, so we're not going to have a good time. We have to spend all our time trying to make money. Therefore, these other problems aren't as important.
Yeah.
And we've literally put economy, money, capitalism, whatever you want, in front of human beings.
Yeah.
And I'd also argue right now, it's going to be worse, exponentially worse, when we start letting robots and AI, don't get me wrong, I love AI in some places, but I'm also absolutely petrified by where it's going. And yet, the creative industry, which really does feel like it should be so human, then gets overtaken by that stuff.
There's always a problem. There's always something.
Now you're a business owner. you know that.
I think this idea of, next year things will be more stable, better, we won't be dealing with X, Y, Z, then we'll be able to do all these things, all these big hopes, goals and dreams to make a better studio, to make a better industry. We can't wait, man, because God knows what's going to be happening next year. So I do think that people have these big ambitions and they think they need to spend so much time and invest so much money in it. And actually, it's a bit like recycling, right? You don't feel necessarily like you're doing your part by your tiny bit of recycling every day. But if we tackled all the issues that the industry has in smaller chunks consistently, I think that we'd make much more progress than the people who are waiting for enough time, resource, energy to do these things.
Yeah. Is there any hope? What's given you hope?
What's given me hope is how that the juniors are they're popping. My God, the grads, the portfolios I've had, they give me hope. They are hustling. These are very intelligent people who speak multiple languages, are working across 3D, motion, digital, as well as having done like a branding degree. They are making risograph animations and they are making soundscapes and using generative AI and creative coding. They are the future. And what gives me hope is that they are hopeful. And we mustn't beat the hope out of this one. This generation, we must keep optimistic.
I think that's good, isn't it? Because it's not, unfortunately, I hear the other side of that, which is like, they're so naive, they're entitled, they're lazy, they don't want to, and it's like,
I hate that rhetoric.
I also hate the idea of like the entitlement thing and stuff. It's like, well, wait a minute, look what we've left them with.
I know, yeah.
And the thing I'm most hopeful of, I think, is the generational change. The time when the dinosaurs have gone. Hopefully in 3 years' time, this is the last time we have to experience things like we see from America. And that generational change will be swift.
Yes.
Because of what they believe in, because of how they're a little bit more aware of what's going on or what could happen and what they've been told will happen.
Yeah.
And then I think the hope is that, I do feel like they're almost a little bit more human. And it's coming across to older people as entitled, but actually they're just human.
They're not this winds me up so much. They're not entitled. They're not lazy. You're just pissed off that when you were their age, you had to bust a gut.
That's true.
Why do you want to bore them with your war stories and make them go through the same things? Let them clock off at 5. I don't want to take the worst bits of the studios I worked in and force that generation to go through them. That makes no sense to me.
Doesn't.
It's just bitterness. They're going to be brilliant, this next generation, and the people that can see that need to protect them from the old codgers.
I think that is the perfect way to finish.
No offense to anyone listening who's over the age of.
No, and obviously
50,
ageism
60.
was important, inclusivity and all the other things we talked about. But I do think we need to, give a little bit more space and understanding and just let them have a crack.
Big
right?
time.
Don't write them off because they don't do things the way you did.
Or
if we did that to everyone, we'd be in a right state.
If you do write them off, send them to me. I'll look after them. I wish I could hide them all.
Application number 801.
No, please don't send me any more. Please don't send me any more job applications. I love you guys, but please don't send me any more.
Yeah. So thank you very much. This has been an amazing chat. I've really enjoyed it. It's nice to be able to do face-to-face.
Yeah, really nice.
And people should be listening. I feel like our crossover should be good. But if they haven't heard of the NDA podcast, where do they go?
Wherever you listen to your podcast, just search. I can say it right down the camera like a TV presenter. Wherever you listen to your podcast, just search the NDA podcast. And the most important thing is to follow us on Instagram. That's where we post all of our polls and we collect our anonymous stories and our voice notes. And our listener submissions are really important to us. So yes, listen, but more importantly, let us hear about your opinions and experiences. That's all we ask, really. It's like listen and Insta.
It's good. I like that. I heard at the end of was it maybe your last episode you talked about contracts?
Yeah.
Which didn't sound very, sexy, obviously. No. But one of the things we've got at Never Not Creative is a support line. So we give you free legal advice. This is for Australian listeners.
Yeah.
First half an hour you get with a lawyer for free. So you don't hopefully sign that NDA without knowing what you're getting into.
Okay, I'll shout you out on the contract episode.
Yeah, so I think that's, I think sometimes we think these things are boring, but actually they're really important. And again, you've done an awesome job of bringing them up from under the rug.
Thank you.
And thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
All right.